This is GBC News and it's time for News Hour. Yes. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Siyoko Kwakucha. Welcome to the news. As part of Ghana's energy transition plan, the nation is considering relying more on natural gas as an alternative clean source of energy. Ghana also has a lot of lithium deposits, which will be very useful when electric vehicles take over from fossil power vehicles. These were some of the highlights of a meeting between the Ministry of Energy and the diplomatic hall in Accra.
Yes, we see natural gas as transition fuel. Because apart from the renewables and maybe nuclear, that is the other clean, resource that you have within the hydrocarbon chain. And so, if we have to transition, we cannot do that without natural gas providing the base load electricity, even to support the deployment of renewable. He talked about the intermittency problems. He also talked about the storage problems. And so if you have to supply reliable electricity, you certainly need the base load. And we can get the base load from clean nuclear or from clean hydrocarbon. The hydrocarbon chain, in our view, this is natural gas, and this is why we want to recognize natural gas as transition fuel. Even European countries have also now recognized natural gas as transition.
Statistics from the Ghana Health Service indicate that COVID-19 cases are on the rise again. As of June 3rd, 2022, active cases stood at 396 with 46 new cases. The Ghana Health Service is worried efforts at containing the spread of COVID-19 are being frustrated by the unwillingness of most Ghanaians to get vaccinated. On the phone lines is the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Esiedu-Bekwin, to tell us the strategies of the Ghana Health Service to get Ghana out of the woods. Hello, good afternoon, Doc, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. Good afternoon, Doc. Well, we're trying to establish contact with the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Esiedu-Bekwin, to tell us the strategy of the Ghana Health Service on how to get Ghana out of the as COVID-19 cases are steadily going up. Hello, good afternoon, Doc, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News and GTV. We'll be back shortly. Thank you so much for staying on. Well, there's news that COVID-19 cases are just still going up, increasing as the day goes by. And so we now have on the phone lines the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Franklin Esiedu-Bekwin, to tell us the strategies of the Ghana Health Service to get Ghana out of the woods. Good afternoon, Doctor, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour.
Good afternoon.
Doc, COVID-19 cases are steadily going up, and over the last 2 weeks, we've recorded over 300 cases. How did we get there?
Okay, and good afternoon. Yes, so for the past 2 weeks, we've been getting a gradual increase in the number of cases. And now we have close to 400 cases. So if we try to analyze the cases, there are actually some outbreaks that occur in some workplaces, in some schools, some individuals that had at parties, and a few cases that occurred around a conference. So those were the main cases that occurred. But let me say that the cases are mainly around this Accra. So the other regions that are less than 5 or 2 cases in the other regions. So I think the issue is we have very limited coverage of the vaccination across the country. And if you have an increase and people are not adhering to any protocol, then they are very much exposed to the virus. So I think that's what is happening for now. So we as a service, our focus is to see how best we can improve the vaccination across the country. So we'll be doing a vaccination campaign from tomorrow up to the 12th, and we'll repeat it on 23rd to 27th. Because when you have a reasonable number of population vaccinated, then you will be able to minimize the risk of infection in the country.
Doc, so over the past 2 weeks, let's take these figures that have been recorded. Do we know where these people contract the virus from? Is it a community situation, or it was brought from somewhere else? Can you tell us where those people contracted the virus from?
I think I listed them that one, there were some workplace outbreaks. We have some outbreaks in some schools. Then we have a conference that we were doing daily testing. So most of the people who were going for the conference, I think about 20 of them were tested positive. So they were not cases in the airport, sorry, in the conference, but people who were supposed to attend the conference. They were also under group. So those are the big people that have, and then we have a few parties that also occurred. So those are the cases that have accounted for the spread in the cases.
Finally, you know, Ghanaians, a lot of people out there are not wearing the mask. So what advice do you have for such people?
Yeah, so first and foremost, you have to ask yourself, are you vaccinated? I mean, because you are vaccinated, then your risk of infection is low. The issue is, where are you located at a point in time? Because if you are in an enclosed place, let's say you have a very small office, you have about 4 or 5, then we will recommend that you wear your mask at all times, because you're not sure whether your colleague has the vaccine, has the infection or not. We will advise that when you are in an enclosed place, then you wear the mask.
Thank you very much, Dr. Franklin Esiedu-Bequin, and he is the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service. Statistics from the Ghana Health Service indicate that COVID-19 cases are on the rise. We just spoke to Dr. Franklin Bequin, and he's advising us to get vaccinated, and the Ghana Health Service is rolling out a campaign to get all and sundry vaccinated. Having unsafe food can cause a wide range of health issues, from impaired growth and development to harmful diseases and mental illnesses. An estimated 420,000 people around the world die every year after eating contaminated food, and children under 5 years of age carry 40% of the foodborne disease burden, with 125,000 deaths every year. It is for this reason that on June 7 every year, World Food Safety Day is observed to draw attention and encourage efforts globally to prevent, detect and manage foodborne risk. The World Health Organization (WHO) and the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) of the United Nations together established the day to promote global awareness about the consequences of contamination of food and water. On the phone lines this afternoon is the head of food management and consumer education at the Food and Drugs Authority, Madam Joycelyn Musa, to educate us on how we can promote food safety. Good afternoon, Madam. Thank you so much for joining us on News. Well, we're trying to establish contact with... Hello, good afternoon. We'll soon get in touch with the rep from the Food and Drugs Authority to tell us more on the World Food Safety Day. The New Patriotic Party (NPP) on Wednesday, June 8, opened nominations for its national executive positions. The NPP says persons seeking to occupy the national chairmanship position will be paying 20,000 cedis for nomination forms, while those contesting the vice positions will be paying 15,000 cedis. Nomination form for the general secretary position goes for 10,000 cedis, while all other positions go for 8,000 cedis. However, the filing of nominations will also commence on June 13 and end on June 15. Meanwhile, the party will also hold its national annual delegates conference between Friday, July 15 and Sunday, July 17, 2022. The conference will be held at the Accra Sports Stadium. A 9-member National Elections Committee has been constituted to superintend overall election-related processes. June 7 every year, it's World Food Safety Day and is observed to draw attention and encourage efforts globally to prevent, detect and manage foodborne risk. Having unsafe food can cause a wide range of health issues, from impaired growth and development to harmful diseases and mental illness. So we have the head of food management and consumer education at the Food and Drugs Authority, Madam Joycelyn Musa, to tell us more. Hello, good afternoon, Madam, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. Good afternoon, Madam. Hello, good afternoon. Obviously, hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Madam, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. Obviously, we're having a technical challenge. We're trying to work around it, and then we'll have a conversation with the rep from the Food and Drugs Authority. Madam? Well, we'll continue and we'll try and establish contact with Mr. Joycelyn. Good afternoon, Madam, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. So, if you can hear me, global foodborne disease figures are staggering. Do we have a national statistics on the consumption of contaminated food?
Hello.
Good afternoon, Madam. Thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. Obviously, that is a technical challenge, and we'll try to get to Madam Joycelyn Musa again. Enhancing the value of exports, breaking trade barriers, and fostering growth in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area dominated discussions at a forum organized by the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences in Accra.
The African Continental Free Trade is the largest free trade area that connects 54 African countries and about 1.3 billion people across the continent. It also aims to create a single continental market for goods and services to build economies in Africa and break barriers to growth. The head of Trade and Services Division at the African Continental Free Trade Area, Ms. Beatrice Chaita, called for the removal of restrictions in the free trade area to help expand trade in Africa.
Simplifying customs administration and systems under the Customs Cooperation Annex will help streamline procedures for trade, benefiting many informal cross-border traders. And cooperation between customs authorities over product standards and regulations, as well as trade, transit, and facilitation, will make it easier for goods to flow between Africa's borders.
Professor Charles Godfred Aka of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, asserted that with the appropriate structural transformation, Africa's free trade could accelerate growth.
Africa's economy has not performed well for two major reasons: bad political governance or lack of transformational leadership, and marginalization from globalization and international trade. Africa needs accelerated growth, create decent jobs, and deliver the bulk of its population out of poverty.
A senior partner at the AB and David Africa, Mr. David Ofosu-Dorty, called on the private sector to upgrade their operations to meet international standards and coordinate with the government in responding to issues beyond the sector.
Provided we are producing to the same standard, so we can meet the export volumes. One of the things I keep drawing attention to is that everybody intends to grow big, and not everybody who has the capacity to be able to upscale. But we need to distinguish upscaling from upgrading. Upgrading, which is about quality, and consolidating it can be a significant way. And that is one way we can marry the SMEs into the value chain and take advantage of the AFCFTA without having to ask all of them to spend huge amounts of money, borrow, and then unnecessarily get from the agri to the fourth industrial revolution.
The theme for this year's lecture is Africa Continental Free Trade Area, Challenges and Prospects.
Caterers under the school feeding program have begun a nationwide strike to drum home the need for the government to pay off all their arrears and demand an upward adjustment of their daily rate of 97 pesos to 3 cedis. The caterers say they are aggrieved that the caretaker Minister for Gender, Mrs. Cecilia Dapa, in a media interview alleged that the ministry would be paying the caterers 12 cedis only out of their 68 working days for the third term for the 2021 academic year. My colleague Shirley Annan just returned from this meeting and is with me in the studio to tell us more. Good afternoon, Shirley. Yeah. So, what necessitated the strike?
Okay, so the caterers are saying that they haven't been paid for a while, and also they've reduced that amount they used to pay them to just 93 pesos. That's 1 cedi, but the government takes 3 pesos as tax, and then it is reduced to 97 pesos, and even that they don't get it. So that is why they are going on strike. They are demanding that government pays their arrears and also increases their that money they get from that 97 pesos to 3 cedis.
So what caterers are we talking about? Is it all the caterers involved in the school feeding program or just a part of them?
So it's not just those in Accra. They are saying that it involves all of them from Accra to the northern parts of the country. They are all involved in this general strike they are undertaking from today.
And when are they ending? Did they specify?
There is no date for ending. They are saying until their demands are met, that is when they end the strike.
So it's just the increase from 97 pesos to 3 cedis.
So there are 3 demands. Okay. Let me just read it. They're saying that they are not accepting the payment of government paying 12 days out of the 68 days that they worked for. They want government to pay for all the days they worked. And then they are also incapable of providing meals for the school children until their demand for full payment covering for the 68 days are met. And then the third one too is an upward adjustment of their daily rate from the 1 cedi per child to 3 cedis are met, and then that is when they will decide to
but
come
have they met with the Minister for Gender?
It's all, according to them, it's all been fruitless. They've tried speaking to the caretaker minister, Mrs. Cecilia Dapa. It hasn't worked. They tried talking to the then minister, Ajwasafo. It didn't work. They had one meeting with the former minister who was I've forgotten her name. It didn't also work. So it's like they've hit a brick, and then they need the government to listen to them now.
So why did they accept that 97 pesos initially, or did you ask them? Was it that okay during?
The conditions or the economic conditions wasn't as now, so they were able to manage with the 97 pesos. But for now, they are talking of the increase in prices of goods. Everywhere you go, their debtors are after them, and a lot of problems. So that is why they are beginning their strike today.
So indefinite strike, that we can call it. All right, thank you very much, Shirley.
You're welcome.
So we'll expect a full story for the 7 p.m. bulletin. Thank you so much. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News. We'll be back. Thank you very much for staying on. June 7 every year, which is World Food Safety Day, is observed to draw attention and encourage efforts globally to prevent, detect, and manage foodborne risk. Having unsafe food can cause a wide range of health issues, from impaired growth and development to harmful diseases and mental illness. So we have in the head of food management and consumer education, at the Food and Drugs Authority, Madam Joycelyn Emusa, via Zoom to educate us on how we can promote food safety. Good afternoon, Madam. Thank you so much for joining us on News Hour. Hello, good afternoon. So, Madam Emusa, if you can hear me, global foodborne disease figures are staggering. So, do we have a national statistic?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us on News Hour. So, Madam, if you can hear me, I was saying that global foodborne disease figures are staggering. So, I wanted to know if we have a national statistic on the consumption of contaminated food.
Yes, WHO has done a lot of studies, and foodborne illnesses actually is one of the causes of lots of diseases in Africa. And world over, we all know that just washing of hands can actually go a long way to reduce these foodborne illnesses. And we are creating awareness and enumerating all the benefits of safe foods. When one is healthy, that means that once you eat safe food, you'll be healthy, you'll be able to do your work, and you'll be able to, the country would also benefit from your work. So it's something that is always very important that we take note of and then make sure that our food is safe at all times for consumption.
Okay, so what are the essential food safety rules that the grower, the transporter, the storer, processor, or seller need to constantly remember?
Okay, so food safety, this year's World Food Safety theme is safer food, better health. It's safer food, better health. So this theme, we are saying that safer food, better health, and therefore everybody has a role to play. If you are going out there to buy, or if somebody is selling food, and the consumer, you are supposed to look out for a few things, because ordinarily, if you look at food, you cannot tell that the food is safe. Why? Because microorganisms or germs are so tiny you cannot just see with your naked eye. But then, if at least once the good hygiene practices are followed by the vendor, then you can be assured that the food that you are going to eat will not bring harm to you. So you want to see that the vendor is properly attired, has the headgear, has the not serve with bands, and they wash their hands regularly when they have to wash. These are some the vendor can just as your nails of the vendor they have short nails and not long nails. So these are some of the personal hygiene things that they can look out for. You are not supposed to be next to a gutter, but so that you assure that at least the hygiene practices are good. Illnesses.
So now with the advancement of technology, you realize that many people order food online. So how do we ensure, or how do we know that such foods are safe for consumption?
So as we know, collaboration is key. So we are collaborating with these the junior facilities out there. I have the food hygiene from the Food and Drug Authority before we put it on their platform for consumers to use them to order their food. Because once they have a food hygiene permit, then it's an indication that they are practicing food hygienic practices, and therefore at the end of the day, the food that would come out of there, when you eat, it will give you the nutrients that you need safely, rather than
your time. Police in Nigeria say gunmen who killed more than 20 people in a church on Sunday had disguised themselves as worshippers. A spokesman said the attackers detonated explosives inside the building while others outside opened fire. This latest attack in Nigeria comes on the heels of a caution by Ghana's Ministry of National Security for religious bodies in the country to enhance security at their public places of worship following the growing threat of terrorism in West Africa. We have on the phone a security analyst, Dr. Prosper Ni Note Ado, who is a senior political humanitarian affairs officer in the African Union Liaison Office in Monrovia, Liberia, to give us some insights on how religious bodies can stay safe. Good afternoon, Doc, and thank you so much for joining us on News Hour.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, so how can we secure our churches and mosques following this story from Nigeria?
If I heard you well, you were asking what we can say about the developing situation in Nigeria?
And how can we secure our churches and mosques here in Ghana?
Okay. I'm finding it a bit difficult to hear, but if it has to do with Ghana and regarding the development in Nigeria,
yeah,
I would say first and foremost that while we are preparing, or should I say with sensitizing ourselves and asking people to be vigilant and all that, we should not also lose sight of the fact that people can be compromised internally and used for all kinds of activities. And so it is not just the issue of the borders and seeing people coming across and all that. It is also the schools and even within the churches and the mosques, everybody being vigilant and ensuring that his or her kid is not compromised, because you have people coming in who take advantage of the situation on the ground and the poverty situation to deceive people into doing all kinds of acts. And so we need to have that open mind and consider all options, so that when we do that well, we should be ready and able to contain any situation.
We are talking about we considering all available options. What are some of the options that we can consider as a country?
So let me just cite a bit of an example. You see that in Ondo State, churchgoers went to church on Pentecost Sunday to worship, and this unfortunate act happened. We do not know the actual cause yet, because we don't know the people behind. So we're making a lot of speculations. But if there were a CCTV camera, for instance, in that area, and also the fact that they had some security personnel and all, they may have made some observations. Of course, there are people also living in the community. They would have seen movements. And when the incident happened, that where they went to and all that. I'm talking about intelligence gathering, which is very important, not only from the security side, as a partnership kind of activity. Now, I'm also talking about the fact that normally these acts happen when you have people crowded in a particular location. You go to the shopping malls on a weekend, Friday to Sunday, and people are collected in a lot of areas, or where you see a lot of expats gathering. And those places also become target areas. And so there must be a cautious or deliberate attempt to screen people who have access to those places. Anybody going in there, they must be searching and ensure that they are not carrying any weapons or anything of the sort. Our malls must become security sensitive. The cameras must be working and no excuses. And so once we do this proactive, we put these measures in place, I think that it's only God then who takes care of our security.
And thank you so much, Dr. Prosper Ni Norte Ado, and his security analyst is still live on GBC News, and this is News Hour. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with the business segment. Please don't go away.
Wannan muka mara mu juna mu baya wannan shekara kai wannan shuki mu kokari wannan shekara kuma mara mu juna mu baya sarakuna da limaman da sauran jama'a duka kai wannan shi mu amfanin kasar mu abin da muke ko kasar mu dai Allah ya kara mana zama lafiya amin sauran kasashe duka Allah ya sa zama lafiya amin Allahumma ja'al baladana gana amin baladana amina mutmainna amin sabon kenan insha Allah.
Are you ready? Alright, boys and girls, mommies, daddies, gonna phone you now. I mean, everybody, you wanna fight climate change?
You are still watching News Hour, and this is Business with me, Esther Edu Ohumeu. British Airways has announced changes to its summer schedule on the London-Accra London route. The move, according to Aviation Ghana, follows ongoing operational challenges being encountered by the Heathrow-based airline that has resulted in travel chaos in major UK airports. The reduction in the schedule to Ghana and other parts of the world will cover the summer period running from June to September. The cut-off in days, according to aviation experts, can be blamed on staff shortages within the aviation industry. The airline now operates flights on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. Many workers in the aviation industry were made redundant or left the sector during the COVID-19 pandemic when international travel was grounded for months. In a statement to its agents and other trade partners, the airline stated that it has given customers the option to rebook onto alternate flights and are utilizing larger aircraft where appropriate. The statement also indicated that the airline is also enabling more customers to travel as close to their original departure time as possible. The statement added that for some flights, customers may be asked to follow up directly with their travel agents, and for customers who no longer wish to travel, they can obtain a refund as per the standard customer guidelines of British Airways. According to Aviation Ghana, Ghanaian passengers have alternative options that offer seamless connections at very competitive prices. Now, despite rallying gold prices on the global market, investors are not injecting fresh funds into West Africa's mining sector. The Ghana Chamber of Mines has attributed the situation to the current global economic downturn and the unfriendly fiscal regime in some producing countries. The chief executive of the chamber, Mr. Suleiman Kone, urged government to adopt measures that will make Ghana the most preferred mining destination in the region.
I think it's been tough attracting investment into not just Ghana but within the sub-region, and that's where you need to reposition yourself, because the whole world is actually going through a turmoil. It's actually run through most of the conversations at this conference. So how do you really position yourself so that you can become the beacon? And not necessarily, discounting your fiscal regime, but the kind of positioning which allows investors to feel desired, to feel wanted within the jurisdiction, so that instead of moving their investment into one particular jurisdiction, they would decide that Ghana is the place to be, and therefore they would want to bring their money, the US dollars, into Ghana to come and invest.
Now, to our previous story on the British Airways cutting days to Ghana, we still have on the line the managing editor of Aviation Ghana, Mr. Dominic Ando, to speak to us. Good afternoon, Dominic.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome.
Thank you, madam.
So tell us, despite the operational challenges, what other factors are fueling the chaos in the UK airport?
So the main point is that when the airline, especially British Airways, let go of some of these staff at the airport in the personal areas. These staff, most of them have moved on and joined other airlines. Others are also left. The airline, of course, can replace them. However, after doing the interviews and submitting a list, the Home Affairs in the UK, the security clearance takes a lot of time. There are a lot of restrictions, meaning that you have to be sure about the person you are employing to work at the airport. Of course, we to avoid terrorist attacks and infiltration and all that. And it takes a lot of time for this security clearance to be given. So in as much as the airline is that to employ people, they must go through the process and make sure that these people are cleared by the security officials before they are engaged as frontline staff at the airport and other operational areas.
All right, so do you think the cutoff can go beyond the summer period?
The truth is that the aviation industry has recovered much faster than we anticipated. A lot more people are seeking to travel. They're travel over the past 2 years. So a lot of them are eager to travel. So yes, they will want to travel. And we think that we and the British government must work hand in hand to ensure that the security clearance that the airline is granted quickly so that they can employ more people to fill the gaps. But for what we are looking at, the British government is saying that I am not going to relax this family just because the stress of the airport. I'm also not going to send the military. So as an airline, find a way to make it work. And how the airline can make it work is that it will need people who are genuine citizens or proper legal migrants, do their security check, give it to government officials, they also go through the list and do their security checks. And that security check must be done so that the summer period is not affected. And it's a long period, from June, July, August to September. We expect that traffic will keep increasing within that period. So it's up to the airlines now working on the government to be able to ensure that their flights are fine.
All right, Dominic, that'll be all for now. And thank you so much for your time. And that's how we end the business news for today. Thanks for watching.
Young women whose stories teach us perseverance, logic, decisiveness, and self-confidence. Being strong is not just about physical abilities, but also emotional, intellectual, and mental strength. Women's Voice is a platform to hear and share stories to encourage women and girls. Women are the real architect of society. It is they who provide the foundation of power, grace, wisdom, justice, creativity, and hope. Join us live every Monday at 4 p.m. on GBC News and GTV. Wednesdays live at 4 p.m. on GBC News and a repeat on Saturdays at 4 p.m. on GBC News and Sundays at 3 p.m. also on GBC News. Women's Voice. No one can make you inferior without your consent.